This is Weather Talk Live from Dr. Don's Weather. Powered by Southern Union State Community College, Alpha Insurance Agent Jamie Dukas, the venue at 5 Points Farms, Boondocks Barbecue and Creamery in Wedowee. Brought to you in part by the Randolph County Commission, Southern Auction Solutions, Roger Bell Auto Brokers, Genesis Weight Clinic in Roanoke, Jimmy Stevens Construction, First Light Coffee, Anchor Roofing, Auction 431 South, Town of Wadley, Remax Lakefront Sonia Halamon, and Bama Diesel Repair. From the Alpha Weather Center, here's Dr. Don.
All right, good evening, East Alabama and West Georgia. The doctor back in here with you this evening. We are watching lots of rain across East Alabama and West Georgia. And fortunately, though, the good news is that's what only thing we've dealt with so far has been rain. So we're going to spend a few minutes with you, talk to you about what's going on out there, what we think we're going to see for the rest of the evening, and we'll get you kind of caught up on what's going on with the weather, and we'll chit-chat a little bit, and we'll answer questions if you have any. It's 8:05 p.m. Central Time on your Friday, March 8th, 2024, and this is Weather Talk Live, severe weather coverage on Dr. Don's Weather this evening. All right, so you're looking at the latest graphic from the National Weather Service. They tweaked this graphic probably about 2.5-3 hours ago and made a few changes on the expected severe weather threat for this evening across the region. You can see we only have a marginal risk across most of East Alabama and West Georgia, and a slight risk basically from about I-85 south down into southeast Alabama and southwest Georgia. And I think that's what we're going to be looking at for the remainder of the night. Not really worried about severe weather across most of East Alabama and West Georgia. If we have a rogue strong to severe thunderstorm, it would be way down in South Alabama, places like Troy, Enterprise, Dothan. And then over in Georgia, we're talking about Donaldsonville, maybe up to Albany, back down to Valdosta, Tifton. I'm not even sure Macon gets anything as far as severe is concerned. And we don't really have anything severe out there at the moment. We'll show you that on the radar in just a few moments. But I want to remind you, look at there. It's the Dr. Don coffee cup. It's a hug and a mug, love and a mug, coffee. Makes things better. And so you can go to our merchandise store, our Dr. Don Weather store, and purchase these coffee cups. The link is scrolling in the chat room, and part of the proceeds come back to support Dr. Don's Weather. So that's a great way to support us. Also, we're going to give you a chance to win some coffee mugs over the next several weeks. Now, here's what you have to do. There are two things that you're going to have to do to become eligible to win. Number one, get in touch with Jamie Dukas and give him a little bit of information. Just let him kind of quote you what your insurance would be if you take it with him. And also head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather. What's going to happen if you'll do both, and we're going to put your name in the drawing twice. So it's going to double your chances at winning a Dr. Don coffee mug. May throw some T-shirts in there too. We're going to kind of see how this goes. But get in touch with Jamie Dukas. Let him quote you some insurance. It doesn't cost you a dime to find out how much he can charge you. It's probably going to be less than what you're paying now. And in a lot of cases, he can increase your coverage as well. So get in touch with Jamie. He's going to send me everybody's name that calls him and mentions Dr. Don's Weather and the coffee mug. And then also head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather. If you do that, we'll put your name in the hat 2 times, which will double your chances at winning a Dr. Don coffee mug. We'll send it right straight to your door. Not going to cost you a dime. So be sure you take care of that today. You can get in touch with Jamie by calling the number you see on the screen, or you can also go to the website, or you can scan the QR code that you see every morning during our prime time weather forecast right here on Dr. Don's Weather. All right, let's go take a look at the radar. Let's start there first. This is the Southern Union State Community College Live Doppler HD radar. And we're looking at the latest scan out of Birmingham. So we're not seeing everything. There is rain up here in North Georgia. There is rain way down, still down here in southern Mississippi and Louisiana. And we'll go look at the composite in just a few moments. But, folks, let me tell you, tonight, normally you'd look at a radar shot like this and you would say, well, that's just some light rain. That's not a big deal. Well, in the setup that we have going on this evening, this rain is much more intense. The greens, the light greens and the dark greens are moderate to heavy rainfall. The yellows are intense rainfall. And then if you get down here in some of these southern storms, you're seeing some orange. That is really heavy rainfall. So where you see yellows and oranges, that's where the really intense rainfall is falling this evening, and it's lined up just like we thought it would. It's right along that I-85 corridor, basically from southwest Atlanta all the way down I-85, back down to around Montgomery. We have very heavy rainfall in pockets across Randolph County, across Heard, across Carroll, Meriwether, Coweta County. Troup County's got some heavy rain. There is torrential rainfall out there where I-185 and 85 intersects there at the way station just north of the first LaGrange exit. Very heavy rainfall right there. And that stretches all the way back down to West Point, Lynette Valley. We have very heavy rainfall now in Harris County, also down across portions of Lee County, and even into the Columbus-Phoenix City area, and then back toward southern Tallapoosa County, really from about Camp Hill all the way down to the southern sections of Tallapoosa County. Heavy rainfall there. Heavy rainfall across Elmore, back up into central and southeastern Coosa. And pockets of heavy rainfall across Randolph, and a few smaller pockets of very heavy rainfall occurring at this hour in Clay County also. Now, let me put this in motion, and you can kind of get a sense for the direction these storms are moving this evening, and we'll see if we can put it here on the if we can get this to cooperate. There we go. So the rain shield itself is moving in that general direction. So it's moving off to the northeast, basically toward Atlanta. So you got just I-85 is a horrible ride right now, really from Montgomery all the way to Atlanta. Just a tremendous amount of water out there. And that is going to continue for several more hours. I see that Sue is reporting very heavy rainfall in Griffin, Georgia. The heaviest of the rain is moving into Griffin now. Alexander City, say the roads are flooding in the Alexander City area. Wouldn't be surprised, and this is exactly what we expected would happen. You're going to have those areas where, especially in the areas where you've got very heavy rainfall, it's going to build up on the roadway because of the simple rate that it's falling. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of water out there on the roads, and it's going to cause hydroplaning. You got to be extremely careful when you drive in this stuff. And also, as we get into tomorrow, all this water's got to go somewhere, and it's not going to go into the ground because the ground's already saturated. So what's going to happen is it's going to run off. It's going to get into all the creeks and all the rivers, and we're probably going to start seeing some local rivers go into flood stage as we get into Saturday night, and maybe even into Sunday as well, because it takes a while for all this to get into the rivers and the lakes. So if you have interest along the Coosa, the Tallapoosa, the Chattahoochee, some of those rivers, even over in Georgia, on the Oconee, you got to be real careful because we certainly may have some sections of those rivers go into flood as we get on the backside of all this activity by tomorrow morning. Let's see. Yeah, Billy says that Ashland, Alabama has a good bit of rainfall out there as well. And that's going to be the case all across East Alabama and West Georgia. It's just raining out there tonight. It's a rainy night in Georgia and Alabama. No question. So here's the good news, though. As I zoom out, and let me go over here to the composite so we can see the entire area. And I'll show you that when it loads back up, that the only thunderstorms that we're seeing tonight are down here in northwest Florida. Really not seeing much happening in southeast Alabama, except maybe down there just below Dothan. We've got some thunder and lightning taking place down there. But there are no warnings, no special weather statements. Just some very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and thunder and lightning right along I-10 from Crestview, Florida, over to Defuniak Springs, back over toward Chipley, Florida, Marianna, and all of that's rotating in this general direction of Donaldsonville, Georgia. Maybe Bainbridge gets in on the action. Look at Blakely, and then back over toward Moultrie, maybe in another hour or so. Albany may get some of this. Up there around, let's see, Eufaula. We've got some folks down there on Lake Eufaula. I've already talked to several of you that's down there for a fishing tournament that's taking place on the lake. And at the moment, you've just got heavy rainfall. And I think the thunder and lightning is going to stay south of you. And as we look back off to the west, the back edge of this stuff is crossing over the Alabama-Mississippi state line. So by daybreak tomorrow morning, most of the heaviest rainfall may have already cleared the Lake Eufaula area. We'll see. This stuff is going to slow down as we go through the next several hours because of high pressure sitting up over the northeastern sections of the U.S. It's kind of blocking this system, so it's going to increasingly slow down with its forward progress. But if it continues at the clip it's going right now, I really think maybe the backside of all this stuff, if it has not already cleared Lake Eufaula by sunrise, it may be in the process of doing so. So it may turn out to be a decent, not great, but maybe a decent day on the lake tomorrow. The problem we've got, though, is once the rain ends, the winds are going to start to increase, and it's going to be very windy out there on the water tomorrow, and that'll be the case across all of Alabama and Georgia. It's going to get pretty windy on your Saturday afternoon. But again, you can see there's no severe weather out there. We lost our severe thunderstorm watch that was in effect for southwest Alabama and southern Mississippi. The Storm Prediction Center canceled that, and they did not reissue. And I just noticed a discussion in the chat room where they just put out a statement that they are watching southeast Alabama and southwest Georgia, but right now they're only given about a 40% chance of issuing any type of watch, and that's relatively low, and I wouldn't expect them to issue anything unless things were to change down here. So I think, as we expected, the biggest deal we're going to have to work with tonight is going to be the moderate and occasionally heavy rainfall across East Alabama and West Georgia, the standing water out there on the roadways, the localized street flooding. Now, you know where those areas are. Every community has those low-lying areas that don't drain very well, and when you get a quick half to 1 inch of rain, then you get ponding in those areas. You get flooding in those areas. Louisiana Road's one of those in just outside of Roanoke. There's several locations out there on Louisiana Road that always go underwater when we get rain like this, and so that may be the case tonight. And, there could be other locations around the area as well. If the Tallapoosa gets out of the banks, if they start opening the gates up at R.L. Harris, then 33 normally goes underwater there at Cornhouse Creek. Been doing it for 100 years, and you know that. So if you have to travel out there in those areas, try not to do it during the cover of darkness. But if you do have to go those routes and you know where those flood-prone areas are, you want to approach with caution at a very slow rate of speed. And if there's water crossing that roadway, don't do it. Turn around. Go. I know it's going to take you more time. I know it's inconvenient. I know you may be late for where it is you're going, but I'd rather you get there than never get there. And if you cross that roadway that's covered in water, there could be a washed out culvert under that asphalt that you can't see. And when the weight of your automobile gets on top of it, guess where you're going to go? Down. And that's not cool. So just don't take those chances. That's the best idea. And so, we're not looking at major severe weather here. We're just looking at that flood threat as we continue to go throughout the evening. Let me go back up here to the chat, and let's just see. Letitia Barber's watching us out there in Roanoke, Alabama. I'm assuming you're still out there on Cody Road. It's been a minute since we've talked, but good to see you in here. Sue Ellen says that she is so glad she can stay off the road. That is the truth. Not a good night to be on the roadways at all. Rome, Georgia. Hey, Michael, good to see you. As Miss Mary down in Frog Eye out Mary. Did you get all the frogs in the house before the bottom fell out? I hope you did. All right, Kim's report from County Road 43. That's over there just north of Wadley. We're talking still raining heavily. Boy, you shouldn't have said that, Kim. You may have just jinxed yourself. That stuff that keeps your light bulbs burning, she still has that at the moment anyway. Has blinked a few times. But at the moment, she still has that stuff. Mark says it's pouring in Upper Omaha. It's out there in the burbs. Kathy's watching us from Roanoke. John's watching us from just north of Wedowee. Remy Martin, how's it looking for the Casita area? Awfully wet down there in Chambers County. Let me go back to the radar because you're down there in the area of concern this evening because you're right there just north of I-85, and that's where all the heavy rain is kind of training just north of 85 and also just south of 85. So Casita is right here in southeastern Chambers County. There you are right there. And you do have heavy rain in the area, no question about that. But you're far enough removed from the river. There's no real river flooding concerns there in Casita, but certainly some street-level flooding would be a possibility there in southeastern Chambers County. No severe, though. We have nothing on radar, nothing pending that appears to be severe moving into any part of Alabama, for that matter, at this hour. I'm going to switch back over to the next red, and it'll take a second for that to load up. Connie says it's pouring up on the ridge at Tin Shop. Kelly's watching us in Opelika. County Road 15 from Wedowee to Wadley had a lot of spots of high running water across the road. Just came through about 30 minutes ago. Yeah, I think that scenario is going to get played out all across East Alabama and West Georgia as we go throughout the entire night. Yes, the temperature will go down after this moves through. This is a cold front that's causing all of this, so we'll average about 10 to 12 degrees cooler by tomorrow afternoon, certainly by Sunday. Then Monday it will be a cool day, and we'll start to slowly warm back up Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We're going to flirt with freezing. I don't think we quite get there tomorrow night, especially Sunday night and maybe again Monday night. I don't think we make it to freezing, but we're going to get close, and there could be some pockets of frost in some of the colder valleys. So I hope that you guys have not taken the bait because it has been beautiful the last week or two at times. I hope you hadn't got the spring fever and already planted stuff, because if you did, you might better be prepared to cover that stuff up. I don't think we're going to go down below 32, but there certainly could be some frost on the pumpkin the next couple, 2-3 mornings. Agnes watching us from Roanoke. Y'all, if you'd like to support us, that paypal.me/Dr. Don WX you see there in the chat room, that's probably the quickest and easiest way to support us, but there are multiple options that will scroll occasionally through the chat room. Cash App is one of them. We've got several different ways that you can support us. You can also support us by going to our weather store and purchasing a coffee cup, a T-shirt. We've got baseball caps. And part of that, and that link to the weather store is scrolling in the chat room too. You can scroll up until you find it. It says Dr. Don's Weather Store. And proceeds from those purchases come back to support us here at Dr. Don's Weather. Also, Venmo is also an option. We have that. That's there on the screen right now. Now, if you'd like to have a chance at winning one of our coffee cups, two things you have to do. You have to get in touch with Jamie Dukas and get a cost-free, no-obligation insurance quote. Be sure and tell him that you want one of those Dr. Don coffee cups. And then go over to our YouTube and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather on YouTube. You do those two things, I'm going to put your name in the drawing twice. You can just call Jamie if you want to, or get in touch with him, and he's going to give me your name. You'll go in the drawing. But if you'll also go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe, then we're going to put your name in the cup twice. And that will increase your odds of winning a Dr. Don coffee cup. And listen to me, folks. We're going to be going exclusively to YouTube. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. We're hanging on to Facebook just as long as we can. But those folks at the Facebook are not, they're making changes that's going to make it even more difficult for us to bring you timely weather information. And the way their algorithm works, if you don't interact with Dr. Don's Weather just about on a daily basis by either commenting on a video or liking us or sharing us, which I hope you do that anyway. But I don't expect you to interact with us every single day. But if you don't do that, eventually we'll fall off your news feed. And then when we go live, you don't get the notification until 2 or 3 days later. And that's just not cool. So we're going to migrate completely over to Facebook. Over there, it's totally different. You get notified immediately when we go live to cover severe weather. And we're also going to be streaming over on our website at drdonwx.com. That's an option. You can watch us there, and you'll be able to watch us also on YouTube. So the point I'm trying to make is you need to go ahead and subscribe on YouTube now. Because I don't know exactly when this change is going to take place. It could be midsummer or it could be tomorrow. It just depends on when they pull the trigger on some more changes that are coming. So be sure you do that. Yeah, Sue Ellen, we'll put you in there. Surely will. And I'm glad your mom loves her cup. Thank you, Donald. I appreciate it. I like your name, too. Happens to be mine also. Hello, Anna Wales. Brandon Cobb, old buddy of mine. He says he's anchored down in a wet Roanoke. Lineville, Alabama. Hey, Glenda. There's Becky Baldwin up on the ridge. Potash. Nancy's watching us from Roanoke. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate those kind words. Let's see. What's today? Today's Friday. So we're going to do our drawings on Friday mornings. Everybody's happy on Friday. I guess because it's Friday. So we'll do our first drawing for our first coffee cup next Friday morning. Yeah, and another problem with the book, I got to be careful because if I make them mad, we may have to switch sooner than we want to. But another problem with the book is what you see right there on the screen. You see Facebook user. I don't know who that is. Well, that's because Facebook, we use a third-party vendor called Restream that simulcasts our signal to Facebook and YouTube and to our website. And Facebook will not allow Restream to show me who you are unless you give us permission to do so. That's what that link is all about right there behind that comment where it says Facebook user. The very next one down, it says Facebook users. Click here to give Dr. Don permission, I should say, to see your username. So that is a safe link, and if you haven't done that before and you're on Facebook, this does not apply to YouTube. But if you're on Facebook, click that link and give them permission so I can at least see who you are. That's just another thing. It's another little Facebook glitch. It's a privacy thing, and I get it. If you don't want everybody that's watching to see who you are, then you certainly don't have to do that. And I get it, but it's aggravating to have to go through all that for me to see who you are. I mean, you wouldn't be commenting in the chat room that's public to the entire world if you didn't want anybody to know who you were, I don't think. But anyway, we don't have to go through, you folks on YouTube, we don't have to go through all that, so. And we're getting more and more, and our subscription has gone through the roof over on YouTube, and so we'd love to get everybody that follows us on Facebook over there, because at some point in the not too distant future, that's going to be the only way you're going to be able to watch us when we go live. Now, we will, provided Facebook will allow us to do it. They may be changing this too. I'm not really sure. All I know is some major changes are coming. But right now, at least, when we go live on YouTube, we can set it up to automatically send a link over to Facebook to notify you that we're live. And when you click on that link, it'll take you to YouTube. Now, we'll continue to do that on Facebook as long as they will allow us to do that. So at least we will be sending out notification on Facebook when we switch. But the best idea is but you may not see it until 3 days after the event's over with. So the best idea is to go to YouTube and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather. All right, let me go back down to the graphics page. Again, there's the latest possible severe weather timing in areas of threat. I just don't see it, folks. It's not happening. I really don't think there's much of a chance of severe weather, maybe other than extreme southeast Alabama and southwest Georgia. Now, if this storm system does put the brakes on and is still hanging around after sunrise tomorrow, then we may see more of a severe threat in South Georgia through the morning hours in the morning. But right now, it's just not out there. I'm going to go ahead and call the severe part of this storm a bust, even though we never thought from the very beginning that this would be much of a severe weather event. This is all about the rain. Hey, Ken Vaughn. Good to see you in there from Alexander City. All right, so around the Pennon area, Miss Cecilia says that the rain has slacked up a bit. Don't get used to it. and let me show you why. All right, you see all this yellow right there along 280 from Alexander, really from Kellyton, just north of Kellyton, all the way down 280, all the way to Auburn. All right. Let me turn my crayon on. We finna have art class. There's Newman Farms in Penn, Alabama. You see all this stuff down here along 280. Guess where it's going? Right towards you, Miss Cecilia. You're welcome. So it may be slack right now, but it will pick back up. You got more heavy rain on the way. It's raining buckets in downtown LaGrange, all the way back out 109, back down 29, back in the direction of West Point. Heavy rain down there in Lynette. Not very heavy at the moment down there in Valley, but there is some heavy showers in the area. Very wet ride now down I-185 from just north of LaGrange all the way down to Columbus. Smith Station, Phoenix City, heavy rainfall. Heavy rainfall down here in Beulah, Beauregard, Auburn, Opelika, Beans Mill, Waverly Hill. Heavy rainfall all the way down I-85, all the way back to Montgomery. Things are beginning to slack up a little bit west of Montgomery, back towards Selma. Selma, you're almost out of it. But, boy, from Montgomery all the way to Atlanta, it's just a washout this evening. I wish I could help you out there, Cecilia. But it's going to rain pretty much all night long at your house. Hey, Linda, up in Wedowee. Yeah, you got moderate to heavy rainfall in the Wedowee area, and that's going to continue probably through at least midnight, I would think. I mean, we're beginning to see things break up a little bit around Sylacauga, and then when I zoom out, you see there's nothing back there behind it. But this system is in the process of slowing down, so it may hang around for several more hours. Overall, I think it's ahead of schedule, because we were thinking this would last through about 7, 8, or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Right now, that does not appear to be the case. It looks like that at least parts of East Alabama may be out of this by midnight tonight. So we may not end up with quite as much rain as we originally thought either. Let's go take a look at a couple of different radar products here. Wait a minute. That's not where I want to go. Let's try it over here. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. All right, so we're going to look at the total rainfall amounts over the course of the last 3 hours, and that's not it. Here we go. So you can see where the heaviest rainfall has already taken place. We've already seen about 2.5 inches in Lafayette. Down here around Camp Hill, about the same. Alexander City's seen about a little over 2 inches of rain. This is just in the last 3 hours now. This is not total, but it's pretty close to total. Roanoke, about an inch, about an inch and a quarter, maybe an inch and a half up here in Roanoke. Wedowee's seen right at an inch. Now, understand this is radar estimated, and it's only the last 3 hours. So, you know, there's a possibility these numbers may be off a little bit, but they'll get you in the ballpark. Down there at Mountain Community, about an inch and a half. Ashland, about an inch. Lineville, about an inch. Auburn, about an inch and a half, maybe close to an inch and 3/4. Valley, right at 2 inches so far. So no question where the heaviest rainfall has been. It's been right there in central Chambers, back over into western Chambers, up there around your house, Miss Cecilia. Then into eastern Tallapoosa, down to just north of Tallahassee, and then southeast of Montgomery. There's a big blob there, too, of about 2 to 3 inch rainfall. All right, so that's in the last 3 hours. Let's look at the current rain rate. Now, what this is the rate of rainfall at this current time. And you see those purples. Let me go in a little bit closer for you. So you see these purples down here. And let's pick a point here. Right there on I-185 near the Mulberry Grove exit off of I-185 in Harris County. You're looking at about a half inch per hour. You get on down there just north of Columbus, where we had some pretty significant flooding here back about a month ago. It's raining an inch an hour. Back up in Chambers County, right there along the Chambers-Lee County line, right about where 431 comes in, you're looking at about three-quarters of an inch of rain per hour there. That's currently. That constantly changes. Look at this, oh my goodness, look at that. That's just east of LaGrange. It's going to be south of Hogansville, between LaGrange and Greenville on Highway 109, 3.5 inches per hour rain rate. Them folks be calling Noah and helping get them animals on that boat quick. Wow. 3.5 inches of rain per hour. Right there between LaGrange and Greenville. There's no question there'll be some flooding right there. There's another little bitty spot up there, too, just southeast of Hogansville or just south of Lone Oak. Grantville, some pretty heavy rainfall, 2 inches per hour just north of Grantville. So that looks to be a little line right there that's moving on off to the east. Let's check a couple of other places. Roanoke, right now your rain rate's about a quarter of an inch per hour. That's not that significant. Wedowee, about a quarter of an inch per hour. No question, the heavier rains are up here northeast of Alexander City. You got about an inch per hour there. And then everywhere you see those purples, those little bitty white specks there, that's pretty significant right there. That's about 2.5 inches per hour. And that is going to be in Tallapoosa County, just north and west of Notasulga. So that's just to the east of Reeltown. We've got some 2.5 inch per hour rain rates taking place there. Lochapoka's got some 1.5 inches. There's 2.5 inches just northwest of Farmville, or just south of Waverly. Beauregard, you got some very heavy rainfall about to move in there now. You're talking about an inch and a half per hour rain rates about to move into the Beauregard area. So that kind of gives you a sense of what we're looking at. Just a tremendous amount of rain out there this evening. Go back to the reflectivity. Hey, Emily. Emily's watching us. in Valley, Alabama. Chance, I don't believe that. I think that's just one of those Facebook fake things. I don't believe they're going to start charging. And I'm not suggesting they're doing anything wrong. They're not. They're extremely privacy minded, which that's not a bad thing. I'm not suggesting that it is a bad thing. But some of the changes they're making to make Facebook more secure is causing other things to happen that prevents us from being proficient when we try to go live and notify you quickly. It's kind of a give and take thing. You fix some things and make them better, and it makes other things not work quite as well. And that's where they're at. Now, again, I'm not being critical at all. It's just the way they're setting, the way they've got it set up, or in the direction they're moving in, doesn't make it very conducive to life safety type events, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, they may have some ideas on how to fix some of that stuff, and I'm still holding out hope that they will before they make the change. And if they do, then we'll roll with the flow. But at the moment, and I'm trying to give everybody as much heads up as I possibly can so nobody gets left behind. At the moment, it does appear we are going to have to switch exclusively over to YouTube in order to be able to get information out to you in a timely fashion. So we're telling you the best thing to do is to go ahead and make that change now. Go over there and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather. It's free, doesn't cost you a dime. Barbara Ann Holloway watching us in Wadowee. All right, so it's 8:46 Central, 9:46 Eastern. And so what we'll do is we'll take this we'll take it to the top of the hour, and then we'll go back to monitor mode. And if anything happens during the night, then we'll be back and cover it for you. No severe weather worries at all here for our coverage area. The only thing we're looking at is extremely heavy rainfall. And Columbus, Georgia, you're in the bullseye of where flooding could be significant, especially if you're anywhere near the Chattahoochee. Make sure that you have a good source of local information there in the Columbus area where you can be notified in the event that you guys start having some serious flooding issues down there. And I hope that you guys will head over to our weather store and pick up a Dr. Don coffee mug. If you do, be sure you take a selfie and send it to me, and I'll show it on one of our weather broadcasts. You're supporting us when you do that. Part of the proceeds come back to us. We also have the T-shirts like I'm wearing. We have some hoodies. We have sweatshirts. We have baseball caps. And proceeds come back to support Dr. Don's Weather. And we're giving you a chance to win a coffee cup as well. All you got to do is get in touch with Jamie Dukas. His number's up there in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. You can also visit him on his website, and you can scan the QR code that you see over on our primetime forecast that we do every single morning. We show you a barcode or QR code, and you can scan that as well. And there's a link over there on any of our primetime weather forecasts. And all you have to do is click on those, and you'll be able to get you a quote from Jamie Dukas, free of charge, doesn't cost you a dime. Be sure and tell him you want a Dr. Don's coffee cup, and we'll put your name in the drawing. And then if you want to double your chances at winning, head over to YouTube and subscribe. So if Jamie gives me your name and then I find that you are subscribed over on YouTube, I'm putting your name in the hat twice. So if you've already subscribed on YouTube, we'll throw you in there. But you got to get that quote from Jamie. because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check the list over on YouTube, and if you're there also, you go in the drawing twice. So what was 904 saying here? Let me go back up here. I might be able to hook a brother up. That's our public information officer for White County Public Safety right there, Bryce Barrett. He's single, too, ladies. Let me see if I can dig up a photograph of Bryce. Hey, Sherry. Sherry is in Cragford, Alabama. Rosemary is watching us this evening. Good evening, Rosemary. Wayne Lane, watching from New York. New York City. Good to see you, Wayne. I bet you if New York got 5 or 6 inches of rain in one storm, you guys would be floating. All right, Weather Service has just issued a flood advisory for Randolph County. Let me take a look at this, and I'll give you the verbiage on it. This is going to be for the southern and southeastern corner of Randolph County. A flood advisory is in effect until 11:30 p.m. this evening. Flooding caused by extensive rainfall is expected. This is going to be, again, in effect until 11:30 p.m. Right now, they're calling for minor flooding in low-lying and poor damage drainage areas. At 8:49, Doppler radar indicated heavy rain due to thunderstorms. Minor flooding is already occurring in the advised area. Between 1 and 2 inches of rain have already fallen. That's pretty close to my estimates also. Additional rainfall amounts of up to 1 inch are expected over the area. So, let's see here. I'm just a wee bit confused as to why, because we've seen a whole lot more rain down south from that location. I'm a little confused as to why we're not seeing a advisory for other locations as well. So let me just check a couple of things here. Yeah. It's not showing up on radar just yet. Because at the moment, we're not seeing any. So let me check a couple of other things here right quick. Bear with me. Okay, yeah, well, that's exactly what I thought. All right, let me switch you, if I can get you back up here on this other monitor. Go back to graphics, and let's go here. And it's going to be a little discombobulated, I understand, but you'll see we do have flood warnings that are now in effect. All right, so we have a flood warning or flood advisory. Let me just click on it. Let's see what we got here. All right, that's a flood advisory. All right, so the flood advisory for southeastern Randolph County. It also covers portions of Chambers. All right, so this advisory is going to include Chambers, Lee, and Tallapoosa, as well as extreme southern Randolph. And this advisory is in effect until 11:30 p.m. That makes a whole lot better sense because it didn't add up to me why we would have just southern Randolph in this. But it does make sense now. So southern Randolph, Tallapoosa, and most of Chambers, and a wee bit of northwestern Lee County. Also, Montgomery County is under a flood advisory. And that's until 11 o'clock this evening. All right, you folks up here in northeast Georgia, Bryce is telling us it's coming down in Merville. It's Merville. Merville. Kind of like you folks down in Randolph County, it's Rock Mills. Or Dickert. Or Roanoke. Up here, it's Merville. And just so you know, I don't live far from, actually, my address is Merville, though I'm about 10 miles away from the post office at Merville. There you go. Bryce has got it. So I'm within hollering distance of where Bryce lives. Roanoke. I mean, you can tell when you have a foreigner in Randolph County because there is a certain way to say Roanoke, and that's not it. Roanoke is Virginia. Roanoke is Alabama. Excuse me, when I lived in Roanoke, I've always threatened to have a T-shirt made that has Roanoke on the front, and on the back it says, not Virginia. Because nobody, when you leave this East Alabama, nobody has a clue that there is a Roanoke, Alabama. Everybody thinks it's Virginia. Roanoke, there you go. There you go. That is proper, Joyce. Roanoke. Oh, gosh. All right, Bryce, see if you can cipher that. Yeah, we probably need to get that one out of there, if I had to guess. Okay, what time is it? All right, it's 8:57. We're going to take this to the top of the hour, and then we're out of here. If you're just joining us, no severe weather worries for East Alabama, West Georgia, North Georgia. Yeah, severe weather just did not develop. That's a good thing. And if there's going to be any severe weather, it would be down here in extreme southeast Alabama, down here in the Wiregrass area below Dothan. There could potentially be a strong storm or two in Albany, back toward Donaldsonville. Really probably the better chances would be down here around Tallahassee, back over toward Jacksonville. We may see some strong storms on the east coast side of Georgia by sunrise tomorrow morning. Places like Savannah, Brunswick could see some strong storms. But we're just looking at a big, huge wet mess across Alabama. The back edge of all of this beginning to push into East Alabama. We look back off to the west. We do see some more development back over Fort Smith, Arkansas, back down to around Dallas. So we may have several hours here where nothing much happens, and then we may have some more come in around daybreak in the morning. So we may not necessarily be done yet. There's been a big, huge question mark as to whether we had two systems or one. with this event. And the big one's coming through right now, but you can see back off to the west, we do have more storms forming from Fayetteville, Arkansas, all the way back down to Waco, Texas. And that will swing through here probably around sunrise tomorrow morning. So we may have more to go. But at least for now, the only threat we have, and it's not a huge one at the moment, would be a flooding threat across a pretty confined area of East Alabama and West Georgia, from southern Randolph through Chambers back into central Tallapoosa. I got to tell you, Tallapoosa's gotten a ton of rain tonight, 3 inches easy. Most of Chambers has gotten close to 2 to 3 inches pretty easy. And then on down into Lee County as well. So this area right here along I-85, from Roanoke to Columbus, back up to Atlanta, and then maybe back down to about Reeltown in Tallapoosa County, stands the best chance of seeing any flooding issues as we go through the remainder of the night. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. And if something were to change with the forecast, we start seeing a severe situation setting up with the rainfall, then we will be, we'll come right back with you. We're watching this closely. We'll be monitoring offline. And if we see anything we think you need to know, we'll come right back. I'll keep the Dr. Don crystal ball handy. See, y'all didn't think I could come up with something like this. This started off as a joke about 2 months ago. Well, there it is. There's the Dr. Don crystal ball. So all you whatabouts, they want to ask, what about? There you go, right there. You know, and I'm seriously thinking about getting several of these and starting a Dr. Don What About Club. I think that's a pretty cool idea, too. May start giving some of these away. But that's the crystal ball right there. And so I'm keeping it handy, and I'm watching it. And if I see something I think you guys need to know in the crystal ball, I'll be right back with you. We'll continue our coverage here on Dr. Don's Weather. If not, I'll see you back in here first thing tomorrow morning with your prime time forecast from Dr. Don's Weather. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. We'll see you later. Bye now.